Hello, my beautiful friends. In today's video, we will talk about three different forces: the force of creation, the force of decomposition, and the force of decay. They're forces, they're processes that are present in our everyday life. And in my observation, I have come to a certain understanding that there should be a balance between these forces. When they get out of balance, then all sorts of undesirable things happen. And the process of decay would be one of those undesirable things because it yields to the gathering of different things or undesirable insects or in spiritual world undesirable entities around a given body. So I see us and I see everything in this life as a balance between two major processes: the process of creation and the process of decomposition. I think the process of creation is evident to all of us, right? When something is being created, something is being brought into the world, and then there is a process of decomposing that something that was created. And for the most part, decomposing means breaking old things down into simple things that can then return to the cycle of life, right? So there are so many decomposers. Mushrooms can be decomposers, right? They decompose wood that would just stay and will not be returned back to the earth, right, in a timely manner. The decomposers of the wood, they break it down into smaller, easier elements that can be fed to the surrounding plants, to the surrounding trees, and so the cycle continues. Same thing, let's say, with slugs, banana slugs that decompose dead matter in the forest, returning those nutrients, breaking them down and returning, carbons, sugars, and all sorts of elements back into the soil where they are easily absorbed by roots of other plants and by the mycelium that can then exchange these nutrients with a tree in this symbiotic relationship. Now, this happens in nature, but this also happens in the non-physical world, in the spiritual world. And we're constantly, creating, and we're constantly decomposing things, and new things are being embodied from the spirit world, from the idea world, right? Let's say things are being embodied, and then things are being decomposed. Now, between these forces of creation and decomposition, making something and letting go of something, breaking it back down, making it available for new things to be made, there is a red zone, and that red zone is the decay, the process of decay. Now, you want to always be balanced between how much you give and between how much you receive, between how much you create and how much you break down. If you're not in balance between those two forces, it leads you into this red zone of decay. And decay is when something is just rotting, where it's not being decomposed. And when this process of decay is happening, whether it be in your physical body, whether it be in our environment, whether it's a forest, whether it's a farm, or just your yard and lawn, you will notice that when anything is decaying, specifically decaying, not decomposing, that many uninvited, undesirable energies and entities, it brings in many undesirable entities and energies. And in the physical, it would be, let's say, in the forms of flies or swarms of insects. And we'll get back to that point actually a little bit later. Now, in the spiritual world, which is ever present all around us all the time, it's just invisible. The same thing happens when your body is decomposing. Let's say not decomposing again, decaying, when something is unhealthy. All these entities that are not necessarily invited are being are swarming around you. So just from reading, all these old wisdoms in the forms of tales that were passed on through generations, in native culture, indigenous culture, and many other cultures like ancient Greek culture and all those myths and legends, they all have this one thing in common, and it's about cleanliness. And it also is so common even with our tales that we grew up with. I grew up with this Russian book called Trubachist. It's about a kid who didn't want to clean himself, and then everything ran away from him, and he had the worst day ever because his blanket ran away from him, and his pillowcase, and all of these things, and then they were all chasing him. And it's a beautiful story, and it teaches you about how important it is to be clean. And I think that the big picture of it all is the idea of keeping yourself from the away from the energy of decay, because when you are in that energy, unfortunately, you energetically, you cannot align yourself with the realms that are of higher knowledge, of basically desirable levels of reality. The reason being is because you have these entities all around you. Oops, sorry, buddy. That you have all these entities kind of sucking in on you all around you. If you've ever seen anything decaying and you've seen swarms of flies laying their eggs there. Well, in the spiritual realm, a similar thing occurs, and therefore you're not allowed to travel within the densities of your everyday life, because a beautiful realm and a sad-looking realm, they're all here. They're on different levels. You have to literally align yourself with a certain level, and you will see, when you're in love, let's say, right? You're in this, I tend to stay away from high vibrational, low vibrational energy specification, because I do not believe that it works that way. There can be low vibrational energies that are extremely desirable, very good energies, and then there can be very high vibrational energies that are completely undesirable and will get you out of your alignment. But these different ways of perceiving the reality, they largely depend on in this specific lifetime, in our physical bodies. They largely depend on the state of our physical body. If something inside of us is decaying, chances are that we won't be able to align ourselves with a certain level of reality that is desirable, where everything is good. One of those days when, as I said, when you're in love and everything is shining and you see rainbows everywhere and the colors are so vivid, and you see the world. You see the world beautiful. You don't see the world. You don't see bad events happening. Now, those days where you are not feeling your best, you're tend to focus on the different layer of reality, a layer where everything is fairly sad and depressing, and that a layer that is full of war, full of things that are that you don't want to see, basically. Without getting into details, I'm sure we all have those things. And in this specific lifetime, we are to learn how to get into those desirable states, but not just doing something within our mental body, or just within our emotional body, how they say, like, focus on this, focus on that. I think here we're meant to actually work through the physical to achieve this state of oneness, and to reach this state of being surrounded, or being within the reality that you want to be. And the process of decay has a lot to do with how we are aligning with those specific realms, with those densities. And since everything that happens inside our body directly sort of shines through us and creates our immediate 360, if something is decaying inside, like let's say you have a tooth decay, I think that there is no way for you to align yourself with a desirable level of reality if something is decaying in your body. Now, the moment you recognize that and you start to take care of your body, the universe will meet you halfway. And what I'm talking about is I'm gonna get there briefly, because I know this is not a desirable topic for many, but through personal experience, I know that when you straighten out your priorities and you decide that, let's say, fixing a decaying tooth, fixing a decay within a tooth is more important than putting, let's say, hair extensions, or doing nail extensions, or spending that money on alcohol or cigarettes or drugs or shoes or things that do not matter. The moment you switch your priorities and you say that, okay, forget all of those things, I'm actually going to focus on things in my body that are decaying, and bring all of my awareness and all of my life force and all of, let's say, in the physical world, all of the money that I have, direct them onto this decay, onto the fixing of this decay, onto bringing the forces of creation and decomposition within my physical body into balance. The moment you decide that and you take that first step of towards it, the universe will meet you right there and right then, and there will be things available to you. They will become available to you for actually achieving the goal. And I'm speaking directly from personal experience, and I know how impossible it is. It's seemingly impossible it is to afford to fix teeth. Now, I also know that even when funds were available to me, and I was disregarding this decay within my body, and instead of addressing the issue of decay, I was addressing issues that are skin deep, the look of my wrinkles, the putting extensions on, constantly doing my eyebrows and eyelashes to make myself look healthy, pretty, and addressing those issues for so long that they were at the forefront of my existence. And the issues of decay, of real decay within my body, were not addressed. The issues of decay that were happening within my teeth, or because I was using alcohol, drugs, and cigarettes, those issues were completely, I was oblivious to the real things that needed to be addressed. Then nothing was really changing. But surprisingly, the understanding of what's important and how my reality is being affected directly through my body and through this taking my body, my physical body, out of the red zone of decay, how that changes everything around me right away, immediately. Through understanding that happened when the funds were no longer as available to me for fixing these things, right? So I first addressed the issues of things that were adding to the decay, right? So I let go of drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, anything that would bring my body into this red zone of decay. I let go of that, which was very hard to do, but it's absolutely doable. As I said, when you set your mind on it, when you realize that that's what you should be addressing, the universe meets you halfway, and these things eventually, the hardest is to decide that that's what you need to do. And then when you actually do, you're kind of being lifted up and just driven through the process of getting better and letting go of those things with the help of everything around you. Everything around you is cheering for you, and this becomes actually a very pleasant process of letting go of things that add to the decay. Now, as I said, when my life worked out in such a way that when I had insurance and money for fixing my teeth, I was not even focused on that. But when that was gone, and I realized that, okay, now all of this is just strictly on me, how I am going to, my reality, which is a direct reflection of my health and my body, is now completely up to me, and I'm gonna have to step up and be in control and let go of these things that are damaging my body. And when I did that, things came into my life that gave me the opportunity to then further fix my, let's say, teeth, the decay in my teeth. But as I said, it's like universe conspires, and it sees that you're ready to battle the, you're ready to manage your body properly, to tend to your body properly, and it will meet you halfway, even more than halfway, and create opportunities for you to be able to do so. But you have to be the leader, and you have to set that intention. And it is so cliche, but it actually does work that way. It is that simple, and it is that magical. The moment you start moving in the correct direction, things manifest around you that will help you do what it is that you have intended to do. Now, coming back to the energy of decay, as much as I talk about everything starting from inside and moving outward, and our internal state, our physical health, our mental health, are all reflecting in our environment, in our immediate 360. When I speak about that, that is in a way kind of an idealistic view of the situation, right? Unfortunately or fortunately, when we are interacting with so many others, these immediate 360 fields, they begin to intertwine in between each other. So they begin to affect each other. So let's say if I am somewhere in nature and I'm hermiting away and I'm being by myself, and I can be in full control of my internal reality and my external reality without it being affected by anything or anybody else. This is an ideal situation of understanding how it works. And if you ever have a chance to venture out into the nature and spend time by yourself, without friends, without anyone, but actually just you and your body and in your environment, and learn how both affect each other. Вплоть до того, it goes as deep as, when something changes within your body, sometimes the weather around you changes. When you feel that through, when you realize how powerful you are and how powerful your vehicle is and how it affects everything up to the weather around you, then I think the idea of coming back into the city and seeing how all of the rest of the energies have an effect on you and your immediate 360, then that's kind of the next step in that process. And then you learn how to allow certain energies into your field, how not to allow certain energies into your immediate 360, how some energies you can interact with and be affected in a positive way, and how other energies, no matter how much you would want them to be in your field and to stay unaffected, how they inevitably have a negative effect on you. And therefore you will then starting with the simple process of having a complete understanding of your body and your environment. How then, from a simple process, just you and just your immediate 360, you enter into the field of interacting with others. And I think that is one of the healthiest processes of understanding. And we are not giving ourselves a chance to do that, to understand that's how it works. A lot of times we are so busy with other things, and we miss this essential. It's an essential thing that we came here to do, is understand thyself, understand your environment and the inner workings of each other. Because if every one of us would understand just themselves, not anybody else, if every one of us took the time to process exactly what it is inside of us and how it reflects outside of us, and the world would be a completely different place if all of us did just that one thing. Forget everybody else. Nobody else matters. Just you. How does your state of being, how does your life, your own personal life, reflects in the world around you? So imagine if all of us did this, the world, and changed their immediate 360, connected with their immediate 360 through that, how the entire world eventually would change through this inner work, personal inner work. And then after, you can go ahead and interact with each other, but it would be a completely different interaction when both people understand the effects they have on each other, how they would enter an environment, somebody else's environment, with how much respect, when they respect their own environment, when they know how their own environment is being affected by people that enter it. Now, coming back to the energy of decay, to the main topic of this video, and one of the things that I've learned throughout the summer is that the original culture, the native culture, the indigenous culture of the United States, a land that, in my opinion, was exactly as we described it, the new world. It was a new world that was on many levels new, not only on physical new land, but also we have probably reached a certain a mental level, a certain level of development, or a need or a certain level on our path to oneness, to understanding the essence of life, that all of a sudden, you know, we've discovered this new land. Now, this land obviously was new to us, but there were people that have discovered it and tended to it for centuries. Millions of people were here already, and they were so connected to their immediate 360. You know, the way they were operating is, I think, is the epitome of democracy. And what we brought here as settlers that wanted to civilize these people and to bring them true democracy, I think it actually was the opposite way. And this was for us to see what real democracy looks like. I have to move because the sun is getting too bright. Let me see. This was for us to see. Sorry, guys. I got a little bit stuck. Oh. All right, I'm gonna move a little bit because I'm getting baked on the sun here. And let's see, where can I be that we are still comfortable? Right there. All right, let me put this down. I apologize, I might cut this off, but I might not. All right, let me see if I can sit here and if you can still see me. Well, yeah, we're right here. Well, it doesn't really matter if you see me. I think it's more about listening this time. So I'm not going to focus as much on the visuals. I'm trying to get away from that as much as possible, because there is just the essence of it is not the visual, but what is being spoken, the meaning behind the words. All right, so coming back to the democracy. So the indigenous people they were living in tribelets. So tribelet was sometimes an individual family that had their own rules and that was tending to their own patch of land. Sometimes it was several families that, let's say, were living separately throughout the summer, and then connecting together in winter villages, overwintering the colder months. And then, okay, it is a little bit difficult because it's falling. And then connecting to one another in the winter months. And that was, each and every one of them were each and every family, they had their little patches, or little or big patches of land, which they were not what is the word? They were not always in one place. They were always on the move, right? But predominantly, let's say, they had certain things that they were really good at, and then they would also trade or combine their resources. One family will combine resources with the other family, and so they will survive together. But the rules were made just for those little tribelets. And when the settlers arrived, and when John Muir, he wrote of this wild but such beautiful, he said, what was the quote? I don't remember the quote, but he said this incredibly beautiful wilderness. Well, and then he went on to describe, the foothills of the Sierras and different flowers that were growing on it. Well, those were not wild. Those were taken care of. Those were the lands that the millions of Indian people were tending to. And okay, it was not agriculture, as like farming, but in a way it was never a hand-to-mouth existence. It was not a hunter-gatherer existence as many of us are taught to believe, that they were just moving, and here is an occasional deer, here's an occasional salmon, here's an occasional berry, and I'm gonna just eat it and then continue moving. No, it was not like that at all. People were tending to their specific patches of land, and they knew, they were practicing. They were practicing prescribed fires, burning for grasses, let's say, because they over centuries that they've been here, they've realized that okay, if after the lightning stroke and it burned a patch of land, then that produced better grass for weaving the next year. So how about we learn how to do that ourselves through the use of controlled fire? And they would literally take small patches of land that they would burn for a specific crop, let's say like grass, and then pick that crop, everything, including roots, bulbs, stems. For the trees, it was absolutely everything. It was not just fruit or just the berry. They knew how to utilize and how to tend to absolutely everything, how to make it better, how they through centuries of experience, they have seen the effect of a human interaction with the wild, or with nature, with the environment, how that interaction resulted in either having more of something or less of something. So of course they have adjusted, and not to say that they haven't made their own their mistakes by over harvesting or over consuming. Of course, we're all human, but upon arrival to this land, if we only used their knowledge, their deep knowledge, the knowledge that they've gathered for thousands of years about these things, we would probably be able to sustain a much better environment than what it is that we're facing today. And what we're facing today is either these monocultured crops in farms that are not healthy at all. I drive on the 5 from Los Angeles to Mount Shasta all the time, and I see how sad the situation is, and how these crops, they are they're, imagine having acres and acres of land with the same tree, like overcrowded, growing one by the side of the other, as far as you can see. I mean, all of those trees, let's say it's an apple tree, all of those apples require the same nutrients, right? Where are they getting it from? The land is depleted. Of course, now we're in need of pesticides, or we're in need of удобрения, of nutrients that are being sprayed on them. So it's a completely different cycle of life. When I'm sidetracking a little bit, I understand. But anyhow, the point is that all of this was well manicured land. It was not simply a wilderness that happened to be so abundant. It was taken care of. The land was taken care of by the indigenous people. And one of the things that I read in the book, Tending the Wild, is that it's one sentence, and it goes exactly with everything that I'm saying. And it was so incredible that when I read it, and I was like, everything that I feel inside is being confirmed by this woman that has studied these subjects, not only through her culture. She's an indigenous woman, but also through science, and she's gone to college, and she's studied the scientific way, and then combined her knowledge along with indigenous knowledge, the scientific knowledge along with indigenous knowledge. And she wrote in her book that it was very undesirable. I'm going to find a quote for you. I'm going to mention it in the comments. I have the book with me. I just don't remember which page it was on, and it's a big book. But to the point of that, it was not good to allow things to decay. So there are certain percentages. Let's say there are wild blackberries, right? There is a certain percentage that will go to the birds. There is a certain percentage that will go to the seeds, to the seeding of the next generation. There is a certain percentage that goes to the insects. Hi, baby. Now, this little creature, it's not a bee, but it looks like a bee. They're so awesome, these guys. It's a fly. Now, we are just as much a part of that cycle. Certain percentage goes to the human for consumption. It's a nature's gift. Mama Nature provides for us. So if we don't pick it, if we take us human, then the insects are going to be here. The animals, hopefully are going to stay here, and the birds. Now, some of the berries will fall and create new growths, but we've taken away the human out of this equation. We're thinking that we're just some sort of пришельцы, like we're not a part of the cycle. We've taken ourselves completely out of it. Meanwhile, the gifts are still being given, but instead of being utilized, they're now decaying. And I see that through foraging this spring and summer, I see that happening all the time. And by speaking to many people that are foragers and that are local gatherers, and through reading books, I have realized that, oh my God, there are so many, we're so disconnected from the process of picking berries, picking mushrooms, picking wild apples from the orchards, that most of these things are being decaying. Now, this decay invites, again, it is the red zone. It is where you invite imbalance, where it's called imbalance, when you see the swarms of flies, swarms of maggots, swarms of undesirable physical things, right? Now, I'm not saying that they're bad. There is a place for them, but you can tell when there is an imbalance, right? And the same exact thing also happens in the form of, on the spiritual level, on the mental level. When we're allowing things to decay in the physical, it always reflects within all of the other spheres of life. And on a spiritual level, we are inviting entities that are scavengers, right? These energies that are on the way to embodiment through our decaying matter, through eating, through devouring, through parasiticizing the flesh of something that is considered unwanted, right? So just the idea behind that, right, is already can kind of tell you of what it is that is being embodied. Because if you are an energy that wants to be embodied, right, you have to be invited into a body to be embodied. All around us there are energies of all sorts. There's, of course everything comes from oneness, but then it splits and refracts, and you have all sorts of archetypal energies that can get embodied through us, through our bodies, or through bodies of fruits, plants, different physical matter. Now, I can invite an energy that I want to work with and to channel that specific energy. And when I am clear, when I am clean, coming back to the part of to the idea of cleanliness, I resonate in par with the energy that is desirable by me. And then I invite that energy to pass through me, right? Let's say the energy of grace, the energy of love, the energy of understanding. Now, sometimes my body is, well, lately it hasn't happened as much, but it still does happen. But way back when I was not taking care of my physical body and allowing things to decay underneath, maybe outside you didn't see it because I had all these fake eyelashes and fake hair and everything to pretend that I was healthy, but inside I was decaying. And the only energies that were, those energies of grace and understanding, they would sometimes pass through me, but they couldn't stay, because they're just not that caliber of energies that would stay in this decaying body. They cannot be embodied by something unhealthy because they're healthy energies. So through lots of practice, years of practice, I realized that for me to embody those energies, I have to provide a safe passage for them. I have to provide a clear passage, and that passage is my body. And through lots of practicing and through lots of failure, I apologize, I'm still trying to kind of make this work, and it's not. All right, I think this is better. Through many mistakes, I've come to realization that yes, this is how it works. If I want to embody a certain energy, I have to keep myself clear of decay. And now here we come to the main point of this video. I see this happening within my body, and I see another thing too. I have now come to a realization that if I can control I can invite, not control, but invite certain energies to pass through me by keeping my body clear, desirable energies. Then if something happens like decay, then these energies just cannot stay. But I also see that if I don't take care of my environment, then my environment attracts these energies as well. So where to make it a little simpler, whatever is going on inside my physical body reflects around me as my environment. But it also works the other way. There is a balance between the two. If if I keep my body clean and I take very, very, very good care of my body, but I neglect my environment or I damage my environment, which is very hard to imagine that if your body is really clear that that would even be possible to happen, then the environment will still have an effect on the body. And no matter how clean your body is, if you're neglecting something within your environment, it might be a reflection of you neglecting something within yourself that you just simply don't know what it is, right? You're like, well, I think I'm doing everything right. I think I'm tending to absolutely everything, but then something is still left decaying, that I don't know, because I have these sometimes misalignments. I have these thoughts that come into my mind that are undesirable, that are overwhelming, that take me away from this journey that I know is beautiful, right? And they bring me back, into this depressive state where I cannot see clearly anymore. So when that happens, I would say then look into your environment, because as much as you know your body, we still are not, we don't know absolutely everything. And that's how when we use our body as a tool to reflect something in our environment, we can also utilize our environment to reflect inside our bodies. So if something is still going on after you've done absolutely everything to rid yourself off of all of the things that you thought were bringing decay onto you, but you still find yourself in these moments of imbalance, in these moments of sadness or depression, or thinking that life is not as beautiful as it truly is, right? If you're finding yourself stuck in those layers of realities that none of us want to be residing in, then, and you don't know what it is within your body, then look into the environment. And then this is what I see. I started seeing that. I went deeper. I went through myself, through my body, and back out into the environment, and seeing, well, how come, when I'm already I've done so much work within my physical, trying to keep decay completely away from my body, trying to keep a regenerative process and the breaking down process in the balance without that red zone of decay. How come I'm still, sometimes confused and not seeing the way forward through certain situations? And then the answer came to me in the form of this summer, and seeing how this process, whatever I can't find something within, then I can look outside into my immediate environment and understand what's going on within. And this is what I saw. And this is what I've learned, is that because of our disconnect from the forest, from the environment, from what was given to us here originally in the form of this knowledge, indigenous knowledge, native knowledge, people who knew how to tend to the environment and how to ensure that nothing is left to decay. Now, because we have failed to recognize that that was the gift given to us in our spiritual journey, in our physical journey of evolution and involution, we've failed. Maybe some people, the actual discoverers, saw, but those who were just brought here without getting to this on their own. You know, when somebody brings you to somewhere and you're not creating those connections by yourself, those neurological connections, then it is less likely for you to see what truly is going on. You're going to fail to see that. A great example of this is, I don't know if you're watching Westworld, but when by design, their environment is designed in such a way that there are certain doors that only people can see, and the robots, right, they cannot see them. They'll be staring at the same thing, and one sees one thing and the other one's not, is because they are not designed to be able to see that entrance, that exit point. And so I see that this is what happens when we are not discovering something for ourselves, but are being fed this information, which brings us to another wonderful point that can create a whole other video about the system of education, and how, you know, important it is to incorporate this indigenous way, and just like the author of the book Tending the Wild, forgive me, I'm really bad with names, I forgot her name right now, but how she is such a genius because she's been given this opportunity to bumblebee. Oh no, this is not a bumblebee, but this is a different type of fly. Because she didn't just combine, she didn't just go the scientific way. She was actually given the opportunity to be in the wild, to experience all of these things firsthand, and then add the knowledge of the scientific knowledge to it. So what that means is that she sees the big picture. She created her own connections. She understands. Now, when we're being fed this information just through books, and we're not discovering these things on our own, let's say like I discovered this summer. I'm sitting right next to this beautiful dried, let's see if it has seeds. Yes, there are seeds, a few seeds left. I think the wind took most of them. This beautiful coyote mint. I would have never learned about it or understood how incredibly, how it works, and all the parts of it that can be utilized, and all of the ways in which I can tend to it and spread the seeds, and all of the ways in which I can use it, because by just reading the book, right? But I actually physically went out into the forest with a guide who guided me to the use of this wonderful plant, and now it's kind of my go-to, and it's everywhere, and I know everything about just this one thing, you know. When I open the book and there's thousands of plants, I have no connection to any of them, right? To understanding how they work in the way my body learns, the way my mind learns, I literally, I cannot comprehend, I cannot understand. I can probably memorize it, but I will not be able to understand unless I actually go and connect with a specific plant. I also won't be able to understand this crazy amount of information that is being given to me in this one book. I don't know why would I even learn it, but if I had a little patch of land, my own personal land, and I had to get to know whatever 60 or 30 plants that are here on this patch of land and how to tend to them, then probably within, you know, some 3-4 years, I would be able to do so through actual experience, and then adding, of course, the scientific knowledge. I think it's a beautiful way to expand, but the basis is to actually know the plant and understand that, and to start having questions. Because we don't have questions, we go into the realm of scientific knowledge without, you know, and this is something that is actually happening even with our scientific experiments with my children. I say, well, what do you want to experiment on? and they have no question. They don't know what to do. We have to look it up. But anytime I get out here, I start having a million questions. What is this? Oh, what is that? Oh my God, is this a pine or is this a fir? I know that this is an evergreen tree. What kind of an evergreen tree? Can I use its parts? Can I eat its seeds? Are there any mushrooms that grow in connection with it? I mean, there's a billions of questions that are rising up just by sitting here. Coming back to the energy of decay. Now, this knowledge was it was just a common knowledge to know that decaying things are not good. And ever since we have settled on this land, we have combined decomposition and decay into one. And I feel like it's a big mistake because we have separated the forest, the land. We have separated the land onto the land that is either overused or used for monocrops, or the land that is, national forest land, and that you have to, you're not allowed to kind of gather or pick. But even that, it's not the truth. The not allowed is not the truth. There's actually there are beautiful programs. I'm reading the pamphlets that describe how you can pick and what you can pick and how much of it you can pick, and it makes a lot of sense. So it is out there. You can go out and do these things, but you have to have a guide, you have to be motivated, and you have to be educated, right? Now, where is this education going to come from? The real life education, the education about your immediate 360. Specifically, your immediate 360, where you are now, what to pick, when to pick it, what is edible, what is toxic. To me, it's obvious. It's indigenous knowledge. It's knowledge from people that have been living here. It's not scientific knowledge. So yes, some of it is. I'm not, saying that scientific knowledge is bad. Absolutely, it is an expansion, an extension onto the basic knowledge of your immediate 360, your immediate the plants that immediately surround you, and that knowledge was already here. We don't need to reinvent it. What we need to do is we need to find it and to ask these people to please teach us. And that's what I'm doing. I've been traveling throughout California looking for people who can teach me about the plants that surround me, how to utilize them, how to accept the gifts of nature, and not allow it all to go to waste. Meanwhile, I'm focused on this in this implemented immediate 360 that where all I know how to do is to make money, right? Instead of utilizing what I already have, I make money and I press a button to have things delivered to me that are not even native plants. They are not native crops. They don't belong in this specific environment. So it's like this bubble of manufactured environment that we live in. Meanwhile, all of this around us is not being tended to. Now, because all of this around us is not being tended to, all these uninvited energies are also entering the spheres of our lives. Because when things rot, when things are decaying, I can see that we are becoming breeding grounds for these entities and energies that are scavenging energies that are uninvited, right? So coming back to the point where I said, when I am clean, when I am clear, when my body is upkept to a certain degree, I can invite to work with certain energy and then hope that my vehicle is clear and clean enough to match that energy's vibration, and so that energy can pass through me, like the energy of grace, the energy of kindness, the energy of love, the energy of giving, the energy of understanding. When I don't understand something, I ask for the energy of understanding to enter me, to enter my sphere. And sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't, I know that somehow I am not clear or clean enough in my body. So that's when I would go for a nice little cleanse or a nice little fast and see where that takes me. Now, another thing happens when I'm when my body or my environment is in a state of decay. Instead of these energies that I'm inviting, right, I feel that what enters my life are these uninvited energies, these uninvited thoughts, these uninvited feelings, these depressing, unkind, things that I can observe them already. Thank goodness they don't have to become a part of me anymore. But I remember the times that they were a part of me, that they would go through me. And even now, sometimes, the energies of fear, those are like little tiny flies that the moment they feel a little bit of decay within your body, they're here within seconds. They're here. So I find it absolutely imperative to the well-being of us as humans, and to the well-being of the environment around us, is that we keep both away from the energy of decay. And of course, we know how to keep our body from the energy of decay. Well, not a lot of us don't know, but I'll share with you the ways that I keep my energy out of decay, my body out of decay, but also but to keep our environment. If we create this perfect little bubble within our body where everything is clean and clear, and I'm not talking sterilized, I'm talking about balance between good and bad bacteria. But if we are keeping this little bubble, but then we're keeping, our environment, and depending how big you are inside, that's how big your external environment will be. And if something in that environment is going untended to, let's say like berries on the bush are just rotting away because you didn't go to pick them up, then that will reflect within your physical body as well. So I truly am a proponent of getting out there into the forest, educating yourselves, finding the right guide, finding a way to tend to nature. And it doesn't have to be in the form of picking and consuming. It does not. It does not have to be, we do not have to consume berries, right? Or especially if we don't know. I think the most important rule is, right, when in doubt, leave it out. You have to know what is toxic, what is not, but it's not as scary as it seems. I think we're way too scared to even touch on the subject, to reconnect to nature, thinking that everything is toxic. There is actually very few toxic lookalikes for every good plant. So it's the same as educating yourself on anything else. It's just as hard, or it can be just as hard or just as simple, right? If you set your mind to it, then you can go and educate yourself on every lookalike. And believe me, when you're educated, even for me, it took me to go once or twice to go mushroom picking, to go picking with a educated guide for morels, to now be able to tell a morel lookalike from a real morel. All it took is one experience, hands-on experience. Before that, by the way, I've read about that in books, numerous books, and I was trying to do it on my own. And I went out on my own in Gorda. I went to Gorda because of the Big Sur was closed, the road to Big Sur, and I found some lookalikes, and I still was not sure whether that was a lookalike or not, Morel lookalike or not. And then I kept reading books, and I still didn't know. And then I went out with a guide, and all of those questions were cleared. And there are many good guides that are educated and that have had hands-on experience, but the real original guides for all of these items would be the indigenous people, the indigenous communities. They hopefully are still holding on to this knowledge and about every plant that surrounds us and how we can use it. And the books that I'm reading thus far, they show that yes, this knowledge is still available, but we need to get out there and to do it. And that's the way to change the world around us, by tending to it, by reconnecting to our environment, and not through TV set, but not through the lens of the camera, not through just social media, but through actually going out there and experiencing these things and allowing for the questions to rise. And then you don't have to know. When you're out there, when you choose the environment that you want to be in for yourself, then it's easy to find inside a book what it is that you're looking for, rather than when you open a book and there is thousands of things and you don't know where to begin. Do I need to know all of this? Believe me, you will know exactly what it is that you need to know when you get out there and you just walk around, and then you decide, well, okay, I want to know about this tree. What is this tree good for? What is, how does it grow? Or what is this mushroom underneath this tree? Can I eat it? Is simple through actual experience. So I believe by reconnecting with nature, by allowing it to feed us questions, and then by tending to it and not allowing it to rot, we will in turn clean up our minds, clean up our bodies from entities and parasites that are not supposed to be there, by tending to the wild, by making the wild not wild, but by making the wild tended to land. As the author refers in her book, a manicured garden, but not just on your own lawn, right? Around your house with the plants that are non-native, but in the actual forest, in the actual environment, within the things that are supposed to be here. They're not meant to be wild. They are meant to be tended to. They are meant to be communicated with. And that's another point that I wanted to say, that you don't have to consume, right, to communicate with nature. You don't have to want to eat mushrooms or to eat berries or to do any of that, or to weave baskets. I want to do all that. But there's other things that you can communicate with nature. You can just come here and be here. You can come here and read a book to the trees and read a story to the plants, and that's communication. They love stories. They don't have feet like you to walk all around, right? They would love to know what's going on in the city. You don't have to even read. Just tell them. Just tell them what's going on with you in the city. What is the world like out there? Tell them. They would so much appreciate the communication. We are meant to communicate. We are meant to intertwine. We are meant to give each other gifts. Nature will give us gifts, and we will give her gifts back in different forms. But that separation, that's enough of that. I don't think, and on personal experience, I see that it is practically impossible to only work through the physical, because things still somehow pile up, especially when you enter an environment that is not like this in the forest, right? Where there's other people, which is pretty much everywhere, and how no matter what you do, no matter how much you keep yourself clean and clear, because you're interacting with others, those auras, those immediate 360s, they affect your environment. So this is how I expand, is by understanding that by tending to the environment that is intertwined, right? And it affects me and you, that I, through the environment, through the cleaning of the environment, through the tending to the environment, I inevitably tend to you. And this environment will inevitably reflect within your physical body. So it works both ways, and it is a beautiful thing to know that sometimes if you don't know what is wrong within you, within your physical, then go out there and tend to the wild, tend to your environment, make it your friend, and learn, because it will show you what it is that is going on right inside of you. And by decaying, I see the decaying process as being our environment reflecting to us that something is decaying inside of us, something is being unpicked. And personally, I think that it is the fruits of our minds, the fruits of our ideas that are being unutilized, unpicked, that we're so stuck going in the cycles of our everyday to-dos, in our everyday lives, that are so often we don't incorporate all these gifts, right? All these new ideas. We don't venture out. We don't. We produce these ideas, but we don't use them, and therefore they begin to decay and invite these entities that will feed off of these unused ideas, of these unused sparks of inspiration. Just like in the forest, these fruits will simply decay, inviting swarms of insects, creating a little bit of imbalance here and there that nature will have to rebalance out again. But if we were to come and pick the berries, then maybe our minds in turn maybe we would create a channel, right, by physically picking the berries within the physical from a berry tree, or apples from an apple tree. That Russian cartoon, please pick my trees, my branches are heavy. Pick my apples, my branches are heavy. Alyonushka, Ivanushka, the little sister was looking for her brother, and the tree asked her, she said, I will show you the way. It was called Gusi Lebedi. I will show you the way to your brother. I will show you where they went. Birds stole the little brother. And the apple tree said, but only you have to please pick my apples, because my branches are too heavy and there's nobody here to pick them. And that's what she did, and the apple tree showed her the way. I think that's the essential wisdom lies right there. When we're doing something through the physical within our environment, I'm getting chills in my crown. When we're doing something specific like this within the physical, picking up the gifts, then we're also opening up channels within our minds, within our bodies, to release all that stuck energy that will soon begin to decay. And this is another, this probably should be a whole different video, but I will touch base on it here. I think our idea of not having enough energy is a completely upside down and inside out way of looking at things, because we are actually overfilled with energy and we just do not utilize it. We do not create with it, and therefore it begins to decay. And that is why we sort of consume and activate our digestive system constantly, thinking that it will give us energy. But if you really, 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 really take the time and look at the process of consuming food and how it actually takes your energy away from you, you will understand that what we're doing by overeating, by sleeping extra, is we're actually trying to get rid of excess energy. Because what happens when that excess energy is not being utilized for digestion or for spilled into the astral realm, then we begin to decay, and this decay invites these unwanted thoughts, these unwanted energies. So by default, we're constantly always looking how to spend energy, because the energy is infinite. It's not, we're never lacking energy. We don't need that energy drink. That energy drink is actually just going to take away some of our excess of energy by activating digestive system and making us crash afterwards. Or any food will, activate the digestive system and will add to will add a task onto which our energy will go, because we just don't have enough tasks, right? We keep creating all these tasks to get rid of the energy, Meanwhile, drinking coffee and energy drinks, thinking we don't have enough energy. It's a crazy cycle, but that's a different show, a different episode. All right, I think I'm going to say one more thing about decay. Decay is different than decomposing something. Decomposing something is making something simpler, making something better. There are even different types of mycelium, different types of mushrooms. Right, there is symbiotic mushrooms that create symbiotic relationships with the trees. Those, they give and take nutrients to each other. There are decomposers, the mushrooms that decompose matter, they break it down into smaller parts, right, into the elements that are more digestible to others. And then there are parasitic mushrooms that they just consume to reproduce. So they don't, they don't break things down into smaller little pieces. They just want to consume. So that's exactly how it works with the excess of energy and with decay. Decomposition is when, the energies that are decomposing energies are present. And those energies, they actually simplifying things. They're making things simpler. So when you're in an act of cleaning out your house, giving things away, you're in an act of simplifying things. Those energies are present. Those very, benevolent decomposers that are actually simplifying things so they can be reused. When you are in a creative energy, very interesting energies that are combining things together are present, right? But when you are in imbalance between the two, you enter the decomposition phase, the decaying phase, sorry. Very different from decomposition, decaying phase. And the decaying phase invites those parasitic energies. And that's when we get into that state of mind that is physical state that is imbalanced and mental state that is imbalanced. And then, on the spiritual level, we begin to attract entities that that are feeding off of our us to become embodied themselves. And that's undesirable. So it's very important to understand these processes and to not allow things to decay, within our bodies, and not allow things to decay within our environment. And learn how to do that and how one can reflect within the other, because they're only separated by our body, right? Or you can say only separated or only connected. Our internal and external environments are only connected through our bodies. So whichever one you choose, whichever way you choose to look at it, right? You can either be separated by the body or you can be connected by the body. And with the help of your hands and everything in your body, you can do so much. You can go picking, make sure to stop by your local forest service and get the permits if required. I'll actually post for the Trinity National Forest the rules of picking, and so you have that on site. But you can always reach to your local forest service and they will tell you how much of what you're allowed to pick, and that would be a good start, I would say. And then reach out to your native communities and ask, write down, share. This is real gold. This was always the real gold, that knowledge. What is that rock that everybody began to look for? We did not recognize that the true gold was all around us, and it could have been shared with us freely. But instead of, it's another topic. I love you. Bye.